Hello, and welcome to the Stream of Chaos. My name is Dave, and I'll be your keeper of arcane lore for this session of Call of Cthulhu. Today we are continuing our playthrough of the Two-Headed Serpent, and you can get your own copy of this campaign from Chaosium.com. You can also find all of our collected VODs over on the Chaosium YouTube channel, along with some other content, and we do stream live each week at Friday on Twitch at 3 p.m. Pacific. I want to say thank you to Roll20 and Sirenscape for being tools which we use to improve our game. And given that Jamie and I are heading off to CanCon later and have a nice long drive ahead of us, we might jump in to the session and get things underway. The three of you, along with Minnie in tow. Unfortunately, we are not joined by Alex this week, but she'll be back next week. So the four of you, along with Lancet, the plane, a couple of stolen horses, and the body of Hilliard Fowler tossed over the back of one of them, are returning to town, where you can now see the church is ablaze, and as the sun sets, there are crowds massing in the streets. Things have clearly escalated since you've last left, and any hope of a quiet night of sleep has been lost. I'll pass it off to each of you to introduce your investigators, especially kind of with the context of it's been a day and a half, maybe it's been a whole week squeezed into a few hours. Art, do you want to begin first?
Hi, I'm Art. I'm playing Lieutenant Aries Carter, and I'm doing just fine.
Yeah?
Weirdly.
It's all coming good?
Well, we just went traipsing through the desert.
Yes.
And had a bit of a scuffle.
Mm-hmm.
And I may or may not have bodied someone in the not too distant past. And with all of that exercise and activity and, 8-hour trek across the sands, it would make sense that I would be rather tired. I think I'm not.
No.
And I don't think I've noticed yet. But I'm noticing.
Given the sheer length of it, you'd definitely be aware that there is something propelling you forward. And you know the sort of dark bargain you've taken. There's something under there. There's an extra pool of energy to draw from. And although you have very much been shot, and that sucks, you are able to... I forgot about being
shot.
Yeah.
No, I think I got stabbed. No, I got stabbed in the side and shot.
I think you did get
both.
Shot. Yeah,
I did get shot, and I got stabbed.
The stab was
I have been shot and stabbed. Good times.
That's right. But yeah, despite those, you are kind of powering forward, and as the sun sets and you arrive, you're still kind of ready to go, continuing on. Yeah. All right.
Yes. I am appropriately bandaged because, we have a wonderful doctor on our team who I believe might be introducing himself next.
Champion.
Maybe.
Yeah, he might. Speaking of which, Jackson.
Speaking of wonderful doctors, I'm Jackson, and I'm playing Dr. Samuel Taylor Thompson, who's just here to help and have a good time, make sure everyone else has a good time. We're not having a great time right now, but maybe that'll change.
Things could go up.
Yeah. I mean, can only get better, can't they?
Yeah, the day's kind of averaged, I would say moderate to low. I don't want to speak for Dr. Sam.
Yeah. So if we trend toward the normal, then it's all looking good.
Last chance.
He's just gonna touch back in town, have a bit of a rest when he can, and otherwise lend a hand with all the people who may be suffering the snake curse hangover.
Look at all these friends gathering in the street, just yet to introduce themselves. All right, perfect. So Dr. Sam touches down his flying machine. The last to introduce themselves will be Jim, playing Hubert.
It's me. I'm Jim. I am playing Hubert. Hubert is a big man with a big heart, and he's big hurt at the minute. He is burnt from days in the sun. He is exhausted. He is covered in blood from being shot twice in the back. He's on the top of his horse, slightly teetering, looking across this entire area. He probably mutters under his breath, "I think we're going to miss our train."
I think you are. How much health are you on?
I believe I am on
2.5.
Yeah, probably like two hit points. Let me just double check.
God.
I can't remember whether it was 2 or 3.
I think you got a full 4.
Did I get the full
yes, you
4?
did. You did get the max. So I think you'll be on 4.
Yes,
because Jackson goes for an extreme. That's our doctor.
4 hit points for me. So that's 3 more than I expected and 4 more than I deserve. But I'm a little worse for wear. and still a little
A
shaky.
little? What's your max hit points, my fam?
It's 32.
That's a big boy. But it is through your efforts that the three of you are not returning alone. You all heroically followed out after Minnie to make sure that she was escorted to and from the creepy cave as safely as possible. And also, you even brought back your adversary, the Reverend, who was determined at first to turn you into lizards or something, and then to find some heroic redemption act and give himself over to the Peace Brothers who ambushed you. But Hubert spent a good chunk of that combat throwing himself into bullets to prevent others being bulleted. And he is now on the back of, I think, with Lieutenant Carter on one of the horses as you finally make your approach.
That's right. My
old mate. Old mate drunkard.
That was the Reverend. The drunkard is knocked out. I actually can't remember what the exact split was. Maybe it was Hubert. Neither here nor there, really. I know. Sam and I think Minnie took the plane.
We had three horses.
I believe it was
2 horses.
I believe I was riding with the drunkard, and the two of you were on
the Reverend. So the Reverend flew back with Sam.
That was it.
I remember now. Yeah,
right.
Reverend flew back with Sam. I have Minnie and drunk fuck on my horse because Minnie's tiny and I don't really care
And
if
old
drunk fuck
boys.
has an unpleasant time of it.
Yeah.
He's just like slung over the back of the horse, and then Hubert is on his own because I'm pretty sure even Hubert like on his own is still a lot for most horses.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Especially for the last 4 hours to make your way back to town. So you do have the final leg of your journey. It takes you a few hours to get there, and by the time you arrive back at this small town, the sun has set, or is in the process of doing so, fallen behind the mountains in the distance, and you see the gleam catches that high golden cross above the church, and you will also quickly spot that it is ablaze. There are figures moving in the streets, and most seem to be congregating around the church, which is about midway through the town and up on the hill. Sam, you've been sort of escorting, and then you touch down in the machine, and you'll be able to all gather together with Minnie, the Reverend, and the unconscious Fowler on the outskirts of town as you plan where to go and decide what you want to do. You sort of touched out a little bit a ways to make sure that you don't confront anyone that might be unsafe.
Is it possible to say, because we sort of set off from there, that we touched down like near the blacksmith's place, or is that on the wrong side of town?
I think that's fine. Blacksmith's on the right side. Yeah, that works. So you can have come in and you are a little bit of away from the large shed. You can't see anyone there. It looks like the blacksmith is not present, but from here you'll be able to head out into town and head where you want to go.
I'll throw out 2 things very quickly. First of all, as we come into town, I just want to have a moment where Hubert does look a little bit out towards the desert, not back the way we came, but just towards loosely civilization, and thinks, what if we just left? We've got the horses. What if we just didn't go? All right, come on, and we'll ride in. And then once we've all put together, I will pick up the unconscious body of Fowler, carry him over to the side of like a house, put him down, put a little horse blanket over his head, and tilt his hat down and cross his arms over his lap. And go, all right, that's done. What are we going to do?
I'm assuming Fowler is. We established Fowler is unconscious and not at risk of dying. That's right.
Right. That's
so
right. And
it's
Dr.
possible.
Sam could have checked on him as well as you were heading in. Yeah, he seems okay. In the distance, you can hear the raised yells and calls. It sounds like people trying to organize things or yelling back and forth. And even from here, you'll see a couple of the doors open as a couple extra people head downstairs and make their way to join the rest. The Reverend is standing behind all of you, wringing his hands. He looks completely exhausted, but he's building up the courage, or the confidence at least, to step forward and head towards the church. That is his intent.
All right.
If there's a fire, we got to head towards it, start help putting it out. But we also need to know what's happening with all of the people that have been affected by the curse.
I think most urgent first. Fire is pretty urgent. Sam, how much gas has your little machine got?
I don't know. That's a question for the GM.
It'd
Must be running low at this point. We refueled before we left again.
You've probably about half tank or something.
What do you have in mind?
Take a large amount of water up into the sky, drop it from there.
Yeah. It's worth a shot. It can't get much weight, but yeah, no, let's give it a go.
Let's make sure that we understand what's happening at the place first. We need to find out what happened to all those people. If they're in the middle of, melting away, we need Sam to fix them right. Now,
That's very true. I think it might be worth seeing if the blacksmith's in, because I have a suspicion this is not going to go well. This is not standard warfare. This is going to get messy. And if we can get the good reverend here and the blacksmith at least working together, we might have a chance to get these two sides united. It's not a definite thing, but it's a tad more likely that if we, as strangers, try and walk in and tell them to put their arms down, that tends not to go too well. And I don't personally have enough energy or ammunition to deal with an entire town.
Yeah, let's avoid that. Here's my suggestion. Ares, do you want to come with me? We'll head towards the church with the Reverend, just figure out what's going on and try and cool tempers. Dr. Sam, if you can head into the blacksmith's house, head upstairs to the second floor where we know his wife is and see what's happened there. If you run into the blacksmith, you're a convincing guy, you'll be able to talk. Minnie, I spin towards Minnie, who has an odd, vacant expression at this point. We're going to need to get out of here at some point, and we're not entirely sure what the escape route is going to be. Do you want to head to the train station and try and figure out what's happening there so that when we do need to leave, we have a route out?
And see if you can pull our remaining belongings together in some form of
grab everything from the hotel.
Minnie also recalls that you were basically... she was told that you were not to be returned to the hotel and weren't expected there again. So she's going to go find out what happened with luggage and things like that. She says she'll gather what's available together and start to move possessions towards the train station.
Out of all of us, Minnie is the sneakiest, so she's the most likely to be able to get in and find and retrieve our stuff.
That works.
I also believe she's pretty good with the old spot hidden in the sleight of hand, if I remember correctly.
She's the best to do this. And also, Rosemary won't be able to avoid a sticky beak. She probably won't be there at the moment.
Right.
The Reverend will say, as you talk about meeting with the blacksmith, he'll say he's exhausted at this point, and he's like got black spit all across his face from just sweat and tied in the sifting charcoal is beginning to filter through the wind. Bill and I have not seen eye to eye in some time. I probably just escalate things. I don't want anyone else to get hurt, but really, with no sheriff, people need to return. We need to cool things first. We need to separate people. If he's out there and he's leading them, if he's trying to stir up tensions as he's been doing for the last weeks.
Bill had no interest in setting fire to your church, Reverend. His daughter did. He didn't want it to happen. So, what I think is that while this is an awful thing that's going on, and we do need to get there as quickly as possible, this is a very good chance for both you and the blacksmith and everyone in town to work together to save something that matters to all of you. Now, if you need a sheriff, well, that's just an ugly person with a gun. I'm not ugly, but I do have a gun. So,
all right,
I'll do my best to keep the peace. I want you to make it very clear that what you're doing is trying to save something important to this town. Not to you, to this town. And I want you to do your best to convince Bill that your goals in this are aligned at least until the church is saved. Once that happens, we can look at getting the tension ratcheted down a few levels. Hopefully by that stage, Sam will be able to join us. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I think I'll go and check in on the blacksmith's wife, whose name was
Pearl.
Elizabeth? Pearl, yeah, close. I'm going to go check in on Pearl, but while I'm there, if you see anyone else who's not doing so hot, maybe you could get someone to bring him to where I'm at so I can see him where I am.
I think we may be best trying to congregate everyone together closer to the church. So we will definitely collect them, but if necessary, I think we're going to need you, Sam. You are
planning on
the calmest of heads among us.
On dropping water on it from height?
I'd be more concerned about the effects of the snake curse ending.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with that, the Reverend can tell you who he's helped.
Ooh, I didn't think of that.
tell us on the way. We just need the basic information. I think the blacksmith's wife is going to be.
I also do think a fire is a little, like, it's not as important as these people. It's definitely more urgent.
Well, yeah,
fire is bad. This place is dry. Most of it's wood.
There's a chance Miss Pearl's skin is about to peel off.
Yeah, so you go
I
upstairs.
understand. Go do that. But then when
give us Lancet. We'll send a message back if we need to. All right, go.
No one's telling you should not stop people's skin falling off.
We're just saying we're not going to leave. You need to come to us eventually, sooner rather than later.
The other thing, the Reverend will just say...
Let's stop to clarify the semantics before we go and save the village.
Little time out from like the in-game time, please.
the building falls over. Everyone dies. The Reverend will reiterate that he says, I'll work with Bill if it will cool things. And truth be told, if I just don't want anyone else to get hurt. I just want this to... If we can get peace, if we can get a chance to talk, if we could start righting wrongs, then that's worth it. I'll follow your lead. I'll say what you need me to say, but just don't hurt anyone.
Yep. Okay. Let's go. We're cool
if
ahead.
Someone tries to attack any of us, yourself included, my friend, I'm not going to promise they're not going to get hurt. What I can promise you is they're not going to die.
He is
I will
not
do my
stoked
best.
by the answer, but he is not in a position to push back. And he genuinely, you're pretty lethal with a gun. He kind of recognizes that is the compromise that's on the table right now. He does look at you or study you a little bit at this point and like just takes a moment to take the measure of you. And then we'll say, okay, no one dies. Help whoever we can.
I don't want to hurt anyone, for the record. What I'm telling you is, if push comes to shove, I can shove very hard, and I will.
All right. At this point, you begin to make out a banging sound, and then there's a crash. And from up in the blacksmith's house on the second level, a fist has plunged through the glass. And as it withdraws in, you hear yelling from the highest level. You hear, kind of muffled by distance and possibly like the cloth in front of it, Reverend Cornfield, it's me. Come, please. My husband won't let me leave. I want your...
I can't hear anything.
I think...
You have peaked your mic, my friend.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
I think it's just Zoom filtering it out. If you turn on original sound,
I'll hit that next
will hear it.
It is Pearl screaming for the Reverend's help and promising that she wishes to be taken. She wants to go on the pilgrimage.
Oh no.
We're going to have to do a lot of psychoanalysis on these people on top of everything else, methinks. They need more than just... They need a brain doctor as well as a physician.
Therapy for all.
Good. Sam, your problem. Let's go.
We turn and we leave.
The Reverend does say she's calling for me. I need to...
So it's all right. Should we have a
In that case, take. I don't really feel comfortable. I don't think we're going to get Bill on side if you go to his wife right now, Reverend. That sounds like a very dangerous thing.
Reverend, that church is burning. We have to move. Come on.
Okay. Kind of swept up by the two of you, he turns and will head into town alongside Carter and Smith. Minnie doubles back and heads towards the town, the hotel, which will also take her past a few of the other buildings, so she'll stay a little bit out of sight. As Sam, you're heading towards the blacksmith's house.
Do tell her that the Reverend is coming back.
Okay.
She will see him. She just needs to wait.
So Sam, first of all, as the others begin to leave, you can head towards the house. As you're getting closer, you can see that she has basically punched through the glass in an attempt to open the window, which is, sorry, it doesn't open, but to allow sound to escape. And she continues to call out to the Reverend as he leaves. You can hear her yelling, "Come back!"
Oh, she saw him? Oops.
Yeah, she saw him. Given it's in her house. Or surrounding areas. She's continuing to call for him as he leaves, and he does look back over his shoulder a couple times. But Hubert does like a bit of like, "Nope, right this way, boy," and keeps him going in the right direction. What are you doing?
My best.
Okay, good start.
I'll head inside.
Okay, You head into the front door, and you can see that it looks like everything was left in short notice. There's not like pots boiling, but there's like the table was set for dinner, and like the food is out in the pot and has long since cooled. The door is unlocked. It looks like it was left in a hurry, and a jacket was grabbed and boots were scattered where they were put on in a rush. As you head up the stairs, you can continue to make out Pearl's yells of discomfort and distress, and when you get towards the door, you can see again that it is bolted from the outside.
That's okay. I will knock and let myself in.
Okay. You knock and you hear a scramble and then a slam as something hits the other side of the door, and then a breathy voice going, "Reverend! Reverend!"
No, it's Dr. Sam again. Reverend's just got to help put out the fire down at the church. But he'll be back pretty soon.
Why is it burning? What blasphemers did this?
Not too sure, but we'll get to the bottom of it. I just wanted to come in and see how you're doing.
You have to.
Is that all right?
You have to help me. You have to get the Reverend. I want to go on the pilgrimage. He promised he'd take me.
Sure, I reckon that can happen. Why don't you let me in? I'll give you a look over.
Kind of this whole time, she's leaning on the door, trying to whisper through it, and you've gotten the bolt slid, and when you try to push it forward, you're leaning into her a bit. Eventually, she takes a step back, and you're able to shove it forward. She is dressed in like a nightie, but all of her skin has thickened as if left underwater for a great length of time, and it's in like sort of like risen bumps and things. It's hanging very loose, and you can see the mouth is actually hanging open a bit, and underneath it is that quite very smooth, beautiful skin beneath it and perfect ivory teeth. But she looks like a monster, half covered by the rest of it. She immediately begins to lurch forward towards you again. You can hear that her voice is being impeded by the skin falling down and over it, and she says, "I don't want to live in this cycle anymore. I want to be perfect. I want this to be completed."
Yeah, of course. Hey, why don't we sit down for a second? I'm going to give you a look over. Just make sure you're well enough to head out. That be all right?
You'll take me. You'll take me with you to the church?
One step at a time. Hey, let's just see how you're doing. Make sure you're well enough to head out.
In the sort of half light of, you've probably grabbed like a torch or something as you come in, you sit her down on the bed, and it's like that picturesque parents' room with like doilies on things, and the bed's still made, and the light coming in through the window that she broke and the curtains are cast aside is crackling red from the fire of the church in the distance. And when you sit her down and lean in front of her, every bump and bruise across the skin sends more shadows in strange patterns. A cursory examination shows that the cycle that you witnessed previously is continuing. Her skin has thickened, coagulated, and can be peeled away without pain to her to reveal a perfect, unblemished skin beneath with beautiful hair, the whole bit. But from what you can see, as you begin to like peel it away and for a moment it is perfect, already like just on the corners, you can see it beginning to like thicken and coagulate again. It looks as though she is in the same state she was. Well, the cycle has progressed, but the same effect is upon her and has not stopped since.
Nothing has changed from smashing an egg in a cave
it does
a
not
few
appear to
miles away. Interesting. Now that is medically unexpected.
We did establish that this was a little bit like a curse.
Yeah.
So there might be a little bit more to it.
A little bit more to it.
Specifically riffing off what Dave said when we first saw her.
You've helped her to like shed this latest layer and she redresses, and she does look completely human for this short time, and she sort of stands up.
How long does it take? How long's the cycle?
It's about a half a day that it cycles. It cycles very rapidly.
So twice a day.
Yeah, she will grow it again and peel it all away. And so as she sort of stands, she's redressed herself and she's standing in slippers. She's been basically bedbound or bedridden or not really getting a lot of exercise for her. So she's a little shaky and quite frail. But she sort of stands up and she says, I want to go to the Reverend and the church now while I'm me.
Oh yeah, understood. Well, look, he's just dealing with the fire at the moment. I don't know if you heard. There's some bells are ringing. Looks like there's a little bit of a blaze going on in the middle of town. So we wouldn't want to interrupt him when they're in the middle of that. Hey,
Then let me help. Let me show that I want to give myself to the church. I don't just want to take.
well, we'll see how you're doing. How about we get you dressed and we'll just see how you walk around the house. I'm just kind of, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to appease her. I'm thinking if we get her dressed, then she might faint, and if she tries to get down the stairs, she might faint. If she's weak, then I'm hoping to tie her out a little bit.
Okay, so I'll get you to make a charm roll, I think, or fast talk or something. It's more showing because she's basically been a little bit trapped in the house by her husband. So she's pretty eager to get the hell out of here. So like once she begins to twig that you're trying to tuck her out, or that like you're stalling a bit, she will try and just leave. And it'll turn into like restraining if you want to hold her here longer.
I don't think I'm holding her. I think
the charm of persuade could allow
her.
you to do the kind of tuck her out, and then she goes, "I'm very tired. Off to bed."
Yeah. I'm going for a persuade. If I can have a persuade, I'll go for a persuade.
The persuade's gonna be hard because it's actually
That's
rationalizing to her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Go for it.
Persuade is better than me for a charm.
Yeah, I can dig it.
26. 26 to get
26 points. Yeah, it's half my luck.
She begins to you walk her a little bit, and then she gets to the stairs and begins to go down them. As you try and persuade her, you're like, no, come back to bed. You're not resting. She looks down at the edges of her fingernails where the beds are beginning to callus over and scab, and she holds them up to you and she says, "I don't have enough time. I want to go. I choose to leave." And she's going to move to leave, unless you want to push the roll or spend the luck to twist it.
No, I think I bought enough time. I think for them to start dealing with the fire, and then if anyone, she's the one who needs to hear from the Reverend that snakes are bad news after all.
They're no good.
So I think me being here with her and taking her there is the best outcome. Because I don't want to lock her in a room again. It's not really what you do. No.
So you're gonna walk with her to the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She makes her way down the stairs.
I am on her side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's no sense in me acting like I'm not.
She falters a little bit, but can be led by you and helped. And she can walk on her own. She's just a little, tired by lack of exercise, and it looks like the shedding process does take a bit out of her. And as you head through the streets, you'll go to join back up with the others and offer your own assistance. Now, as a short while ago, Carter and Smith make your way through the streets, there's yelling and people are beginning to rush back and forth. Let's see your path. So you can get pretty close. You can pretty much go straight to the church. You'll only go past the library and things. As you get to that main street, you'll see a group of young men charge to the general store where they are loading up on buckets and shovels and all sorts of handy dandy equipment, things like that, and then heading towards the church where you can now make out over the blaze the yelling of people giving directions, trying to organize things, but it's a little bit chaos and figures darting back and forth. As you cross that road, you also see out in the middle of the street there is a pile of luggage that's been gathered together in between about the store and the hotel, and seated on top of it are the two Butler brothers. One of them has a large club held in his hand, and the other one has a pistol rested across his lap, and they are seated on your luggage, which has been hurled out of the hotel, and making sure that no one messes with it any further than it's already been messed with.
Good lads.
Yeah, good folks. Okay, I'm going to point to the people at the general store. I'm just going to say, I might duck that way, make sure enough supplies come. Can I meet you at the church?
Yes, go.
All right, I will tear off in that direction.
I would also like to check the Reverend Is there like a sort of a duster or something with like a hooded something that I can grab, or like that we have? Because
To disguise
I would like
him,
to
is that the idea?
like in the sense that people rushing past a street thinking about fire aren't going to immediately go, that is the Reverend's cassock, like that's the thing I need to worry about, but like that's the Reverend.
Yeah.
Like, not a deep level of disguise, just enough that people not desperately paying attention will not notice. If someone looks at him, they're still going to tell it's him.
I'm with you.
That's fine.
Hubert, might you have like a cravat that could be unfurled or something? Is that in the, or your pocket handkerchief is about the size of a beach towel. So.
You nudge me and say that, and I go, oh, I don't know if I have enough, and I open my second case, which is full of outfits. So pick what you need.
Oh yeah, that is true. There are the suitcases. You could head towards those and gather them up. It's a bit of a diversion.
Yeah, I think that I genuinely would have. I mean, we've established that Hubert is a man of fashion. I got in a full cowboy costume to go out into the desert. I've got a bunch of clothes.
Yeah.
Take what you need.
Great. Just some kind of like duster and either something hooded or like a hat or something like that, just to kind of sit low over his brow, to keep like to just make him look like another townsperson rather than someone in religious garb.
Sure. I won't get you to make a disguise roll, because this isn't really going to stand up to close scrutiny. It's just kind of enough to break the thing. But people may be looking for him, given his absence has been noticed. So he will probably get spotted sooner rather than later. But you can kind of push him down low and hurry along a little bit.
It's specifically getting him like to the church when people are focused on the church. Once he's at the church, then people can notice as they wish, but like it's more, I don't want to get stopped on the way. That's more what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hubert ducks away and heads towards the general store. As you head there, Hubert, you'll see there's a stream of people coming and going. You will also go right past the Butler brothers doing that. And as you come up, one of them will look up to you and get down off one of the luggage things that they're sitting on, and he'll say, "Town's gone to hell. We heading out of here?"
It has, and we will shortly. No trains are going to be running for a minute, so unless we want to treat through the desert, we won't be able to. But you two, good men, good lads. I'll be leaving an excellent review and a healthy tip for your help.
We're staying here?
It's either that or brave the desert.
Surely let's at least move it to the station and be ready to get out of here as soon as we can.
That's fine. If you want to pick up everything, move it to the station. I'll meet you there.
We're getting paid more for this.
I understand, and yes.
Okay. They'll begin to hoik up bags.
Miss Sinclair should probably join them at some point.
Yeah, given she was looking for the same thing. They'll hoik up a couple of the bags and begin to head past. And as someone goes past like a bucket of water to help, they get too close and one of the brothers just shoulders them out of the way, and they tumble backwards. The water gets splashed everywhere and they have to like scurry to get it back up and just move it. And then they go back and gather another couple of the bags. They are fully in the middle of like where they're trying to get the fire line to go through to run materials, and the brother that remains seated on it does not allow anyone to get close. He goes, wide berth, move around.
It's almost like these goons that I hired from a train station do not have deep emotional connections to the people in the random town we dragged them to.
I love these two so much. They're such assholes.
Heading into the store, you'll see that a lot of things have been stripped from the shelves, and people are grabbing stuff. You will spot a couple of people fully, not brawling, but yelling at one another. It just looks like a young guy and a young woman from somewhere inside the town. And as he reaches for probably a pickaxe, like a hatchet or something, she grabs it from him and says, like, we don't need weapons. Nothing's going to happen. It's fine. As soon as the sheriff's back, this will be put to rest. And he goes, the sheriff isn't coming back. He went with that lunatic cult. This place is in a free-for-all, and we need to survive the night.
Okay. I will burst in the door, I suppose, and I think that I'm a pretty big guy, and Hubert is quite charismatic. Mm-hmm. So I think I will burst in. I will reach into my pocket and pull out some money and slam it on the general store counter as if we've now paid for, our stuff. And I don't mean that to be flashing cash, but as a, like, I'm a good man. Look how useful. We don't have time to argue. I know how to put out fires. Everyone, you grab this, you grab that, you do this. And I start giving orders and trying to organize people. I don't know how to put out fires, but I'm assuming if I just get everyone organized, that's going to work.
Well, you could. So do you want to make a survival roll to try and rally these people into, doing what they need to do? Let's prioritize. Or do you want to go for like charm and just be like, we're on the same team? You're just pointing out the natural world adversary that we're all opposing right now.
I was thinking persuade in terms of leadership, but I'm happy to go charm if you'd rather it. Otherwise, my survival's decent.
Persuade works too as well. It's kind of,
I'll make a persuade check.
Getting people in the right direction? Yeah, go for it.
All right, here we go. That's a success, and I will give you 4 points of luck to make it a hard.
You don't need to. These people were... It's more tensions than anything else, and it's enough for you to snap in and just say, there is a fire, we'll, deal with that, then deal with whatever else, and you just give them tasks. You just say, like, you carry that bucket, you
do this, you go that way, you do this. Absolutely, understood.
People will continue to kind of stream in and out, and after you get a bit of them rallied, you can gather some supplies yourselves, and if you want, you can head up towards the church, or from here, you are near several of the other locations.
No, I will head up towards the church once I've got an established line going. I just want to make sure that supplies are heading that way, and that there's, like, for want of a better word, a hardcore group of people who are doing the work. It can spread from there as long as some people are doing it. We can point and say, why aren't you like Fred over there who's running back and forth with a bucket? Fred's great.
Fred's doing
also,
Fred's doing a hell of a job.
Like, if you're getting the mob in the mind of, like, buckets and sand and water, they're going to forget that things like pickaxes exist.
Exactly, yeah. Let's stop those weapons. But I will put back the pickaxe. People hang these things for a reason. The shop display is important.
Put it back in the mannequin's hand. It's like, yeah.
And the mannequin's holding it like this, so I make it less, like, aggressive. I put it at their side.
Holding it down. Okay, perfect. You set to organizing people. As Carter, you and the Reverend head the final street and find the church. It's up on that small rise, and there's a little picket fence around it. The sign that had been painted over and shortened has been broken open and is lying down its side. The gate is fully open, and there's a churn of clay and ash where people are rushing up and forth. There is no real order to it. Some people are running with buckets and helping. Others are just standing and watching as, with a pop and bang, a section of the roof collapses inwards and falls down. Another group of people have gathered around there's another mob basically that are clearly gathered around something separate and looking down at it and are yelling back and forth. What do you want to do immediately? You can stop and assess. You can charge straight in and try and take direction.
Sorry. I was trying to find the blacksmith's name, and I
heard
Bill. That, and then also... No, his surname.
Schoenbaum.
Schoenbaum, thank you. So there are people, there's the broken sign.
There is a very limited effort to put out the fire that is not being organized, and there are several people just watching it burn and standing around. That's the bulk, are just standing around and watching it.
Yep.
And there is a separate, more gathered mob off towards the side, still within the church grounds, that you can't see what they are harumphing about, but they are clamoring back and forth. You can take a chance to sort of just look over everything a little bit more closely.
I was gonna say, can I make out who is actually doing the clamoring? Is there anyone within that small group that I would recognize?
Do give me a spot hidden roll, just because the flickering firelight makes it a little hard to recognize faces.
Right.
And at this point, and then I'm gonna ask you to make a luck check immediately following.
Okay. I do not succeed on the spot hidden, so that's fine. I assume I'm too far away to note who those are, and then a luck check.
Yes, please.
Success.
Okay. So far, it seems the Reverend has been unrecognized, and as he's standing next to you, people are gathered around the outside, and he's looking up at it. There are people semi-organized. He does seem to focus in on the church, and he says, and you hear him say under his breath, he says, "It's a symbol for the town. We need to help that. People need to be putting that out. We need to we need water. There's a well not far from here. These people aren't organized. He looks to you and he says, give them direction. Please, tell them what they need to do. And then he pulls the hat down a little bit lower, not revealing himself to anyone. And so it's probably, he's grabbed the sides and like pulled it down around his ears a bit. He's just, give them directions. Tell them to put it out. Organize them.
Very well. I am going to... I'm not going to move too far away from the Reverend because I don't want him to I want him to be nearby, but I'm going to step a little bit away from him so I can draw attention to myself without drawing attention to him.
Yep.
Specifically.
Sure.
I am going to... How loud is everything at the moment?
Fairly. There is a
Right.
fire going on, and you can hear it crackling occasionally. There's a pop as another beam breaks inside, and a yell from someone who watches. There's a couple people that are trying to sort of organize, but it's really just noise that they're adding to it. It is fairly loud. There's people clamoring
Right.
and yelling all about.
So I'm going to stride up to the front of the front gates.
Yep.
I'm going to, fully within view of everyone, whip open my coat, pull out my pistol, raise it in the air, and fire 3 very rapid shots.
Pack, pack, pack.
And then I'm going to project. I'm not going to project into the microphone, everyone will be deafened, so assume this is projection. Good people of Bigham, your church is on fire and you stand here doing, quite literally, fuck all. This is a symbol of community in your town, or so I have been told, so it seems rather important that all of you pull your finger out and get to it. You, buckets, you, water, you, get the line moving. Whatever the lot of you are doing over there, I think it's slightly less important than the fact that if this church goes up, your town's going up with it. So if you would kindly move. And I'm going to go full drill sergeant.
Yeah, hell yeah. Can you give me before you roll, so it's going to be an intimidation roll. This is going to be hard because there's a lot going on and everything. However, I think this fits your pulp talents that we've spoken about previously, so you'll get a bonus dice. So it's bonus dice, but it is going to be hard to kind of break through the noise and the rattle. Rather.
I'm assuming shooting is not giving. This is just enough to get their attention.
Yeah, that definitely factored in. That got the attention.
Lovely. Okay. 16.
Nice. That's a 13.
Would you like an extreme success?
That is an extreme success.
Oh, that's a shit. Extreme success.
Yeah.
Surprise.
There's a couple of cracks from the gunshot, and everyone wheels around to look at you. You project out and immediately begin to grab people, assign them, and very drill sergeant-esque, you get like, you're now in charge of those 3. If they disappoint you, you disappoint me. Go and do this. You'd go and do that, and they begin to set up a chain. People begin to...
Probably the only thing that changes in this is while Ares is very good at being a drill sergeant and can say awful things to people when they need to, they don't need to be like, maggot. They don't do shit like that. That's unnecessary. They stick with the, I'm not angry, I'm just disappointed.
That's, yeah. We're trying to help. People begin to set up a ring of water lines and hurl them in. They are helping. You are not sure at this point whether the church is going to survive enough. It's hard to tell. And people are also stumbling back. People are getting hurt a little bit. Some are getting too close. And there's a lot of people that are very eager to see the church put out, and they rush up with buckets, and one of them like bursts in through the door to like throw it on the full flame and stumbles back when a gout of steam rushes back towards them, and sort of blackened face, they move away. There's a lot of emotions running high. As all of this happens, and as Dr. Sam and Hubert will join shortly after, having made their way up, Sam with Pearl on his arm and Hubert with a brigade of bucketeers, you see that the mob has split away a little bit, some of them given directions, and it's enough to see that 2 young adults are kneeling by the fence post. They have been bound with like rough rope, and they are strapped to it. It also looks as though they've taken a bit of a beating. it looks as though they're at least, they look fairly like they're covered in charcoal. Looks like also partly wet, where one of them's been splashed, the young woman, in her dress. And they're both cowering over, although they're sort of like facing one another. You can also see Bill is planted nearby, and he's currently leveling a finger at someone who's arguing with him, and you'll hear him boom over everything. If you lay a hand on them, so help me, I will lay you out. You will recognize these after a short period as Gregory and
I didn't need you to tell me. You were like two young adults. I'm like, I know who these are. I know exactly who these two people are. It's the idiots in love. Well done, children. Well done.
Bill is outnumbered though, where he is, and a couple of other people. You have gathered most people to spread away. There are still people arguing with them. Everyone gathers on the scene. At this point, someone's going to notice the Reverend fairly soon. He's tried to sort of step away, and he is kind of pointedly not directing people. He's not stepping up.
Yeah, when I see this thing that's happening, because if I've got everyone moving at this point, and like as established with Mr. Smith, once you get people moving, mob mentality will somewhat take over, and people will just kind of keep doing stuff, not necessarily needing to be directed. They might, if something goes wrong. I would like to go back to the Reverend after seeing this, if I have time.
The four of you will gather around the same sort of point, although Pearl's there, maybe not just yet.
I will specifically. I would probably be aiming to do this before these two enter the scene. Sure. But happy for them to jump in if it makes narrative sense. Walk over to the Reverend, or straight over to him, and say, it appears some people who care very deeply about what you've been preaching are taking a rather violent track against Bill Schoenbaum's daughter and her armoire. So... armoire is it? Okay. Her love. If you want to get yourself in the good graces of the blacksmith, I would say you go and stand by his side and tell your people to stand down.
That's Gregory. Sure.
Yes.
He's married.
Yes, and you destroyed their marriage.
I'm gonna get you to make a social test. I can see intimidation. I can see persuasion.
Not very charming.
Yeah,
No.
I think not charm.
No.
Not faster.
I am trying to impress upon this man just exactly how problematic everything that has happened is. While I am not specifically saying, if you do not do this, I will do something awful, but there is a big, I suggest you do this.
I guess
or else is just not said.
I guess the hanging thread, it's the same as what you said before we went over to the church, where there's the implication that Ares could spring to violence, and something is happening there that could precipitate that response.
Unless you want this escalating to pushing and shoving.
But also, it's more just like, we don't have time for this.
No.
You're trying to do a soap opera romance subplot while the town's burning down? We don't have time for this. This is absurd. Yeah. Right?
Yes, I think there's also an idea of, if you cared that deeply about the teachings of the church under the one true God, this wouldn't have happened.
He cares very deeply about the teachings of the church under the one true God. He just didn't think he thought what he was hearing was the one true God. Go ahead and make the roll. Okay.
Alright, there's a failure.
You got heaps of luck there, right?
I can give you 11 points of luck to make that a success.
This is going to need to be a hard to get off the ground, but you will see. It looks. You can push this.
I can't luck if I push it. That's the problem.
No, you cannot. No, you cannot. And you'll need a hard to shake through. Pushing this would be kind of shaking through him, trying to reiterate the wrongs that have been done. And at this point, we're not, it's not about the minor sins, it's about the major ones. So let's all on the same team, rally and return. But you
What is
see,
the-
he is looking over at them, and you can see he's like running the, she's married. That thread seems to have stuck a bit for him.
Cool. If it looks like, does he... I'm happy to run with this. So, does he say anything in response to me saying like, you need to do this? Or does it
Yes.
just-
It depends if you're going to push it or not, because I might scale it. Because I can do this for. There is just success. There is just failure, which will have some results, and there's pushing failure, which will make things way more.
I think I will say that. See that his mind is still stuck on the this is adultery thing, and just kind of look at him with kind of a look of disappointment mixed with mild disgust, and go, if you decide that the souls of the town are more important than one small sin from a broken man, then do please join me. And I'm just going to stride off in the direction of the blacksmith.
Okay.
I am accepting that I did not convince him at this point in time. I am allowing him to come around to that conclusion on his own, should he so choose. I am now no longer caring about convincing him to do it myself.
Okay. As you head off,
knows the stakes.
you will see him sort of rise up a little bit, and he heads to join the line of people carrying buckets up and across, and not too long after that he will take off the hat, reveal himself as the Reverend, and help them all. And immediately the ripple will go through the crowd, and he'll begin to gather around him, and you'll hear the calls of Reverend, you've returned. What's happened? What is happening? Help us. What do we do? And he sort of stands up and he will say, it's as they have said. Take up this water, help your family, and let's put this fire out. And with this declaration, people gather forward and kind of reinforce what you've already done. And there's a bit of the return to his earlier charisma. As Sam and Hubert join, Pearl is holding onto your arm, Sam, and then when she sees the Reverend, she takes a step forward, and then she sees the church on fire as well, and she lets out a shudder, and she says, what's happening to our town?
I mean, some bad things have happened up till now, but what's happening now is it's putting itself back together. Look at all these people helping each other out.
I need to go to the Reverend. And she'll let most of them begin to try and...
Might be a bit busy now. Hey, why don't we just give him a few more minutes, put the fire out?
She fully lets go, stops listening, and tries to wander forward. You could try and grab her from the back, but she is pretty determined now that she's got a beeline.
I don't know I probably wouldn't grab her, but I'd probably hold on to her before she departs.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Holding onto her
exactly.
arm.
Yeah, you go. Hold on.
Put me grabbing at her, just hold on. Strength roll. She doesn't go like super snake strength, has she?
Yeah. Give me a strength just to kind of hold on to her. No, she doesn't. But give me a strength roll just to kind of hold on to her.
Not a fumble.
Not a fumble, but it's kind of, you don't want to hurt her, and you don't want to, actually physically restrain her, but it's enough that she is clearly willing to wrench her arm free and shoulder through the crowd. And at this point, it would be like actually grappling her, like holding her still to stop her going. She shoulders forward, and Hubert and Sam, you see Lieutenant Carter heading towards this little,
It seems like there's two directions here. I'll take a quick look at Sam, point one finger towards Pearl and one finger towards Carter in the action, and I'll say, which one do you want to deal with?
The fire, Carter. You go with the fire. I've got it. It's all right. I've got it.
Okay.
I got it.
All right, I'll turn out and I will head to follow Carter.
Okay.
I'm doing my best just to stay attached to Pearl.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Just like
you'll follow her through
if she's gonna go, I'm not letting her go alone.
Okay. All right. So as Hubert, you move through the crowd easily, breaking through them, and we'll follow after Ares, who's just arrived at the others. Sam, you follow Pearl as she winds her way through, and the buckets are beginning to be led and thrown across. It looks like the blaze is beginning to die down, although the foundations of the church are badly damaged, and even a cursory glance, you're very familiar with like engineering and pieces. This building won't stand, and the damage has kind of already been done. No one's focusing on preventing spread, but it is kind of on a higher up section, and it's a bit distant from it. The occasional like cinder that drifts down will be dealt with later, but it is the priority to put the church out. And as Pearl gets to the Reverend, she falls to her knees and holds her hands up towards him and like clasps at his I guess very, very dirtied robes from the voyage. And she says, I'm here, Reverend. I came back. I want to go on the pilgrimage. I'll do anything. Please just let me go with you. Make me whole again. And as she's sort of moving on, you can see that her knuckles are calloused over, and along the back of her neck where the hair's sort of fallen away, there's scabs beginning to crust and form. She says, I'm so grateful for everything you've done, but I want the rest. I want all of it. Everything.
I'm sorry, Reverend. I know you're busy at the moment, but I couldn't stop her. She needs you to set her right. She needs you to lead her out of the darkness back into the light.
If
you see what I'm saying.
And with the crowds like pulling around him in different directions, there's this tiny little oasis of calm. And he reaches down and puts a hand on her forehead and says, everything will be all right, sister. We'll rebuild. We'll be better. We'll be a town again, and I will do whatever I can to help you. But for now, we have to work together. And he sort of helps her up, and he says, if you can lift a bucket, join the brigade. If not, rest, please. I'll talk to you when this is done. And it's enough for her to kind of step back and away from it all. And when he looks past you again, Sam, and joins it, he's standing much more upright. He's struggling under the weight of some of the buckets and things, but there does seem to be a return to self present.
Maybe she didn't need the Reverend. Maybe the Reverend needed her.
Where do you head from here, Sam? Do you want to join the line and help to put out the fire? You can focus on other pieces.
If she is no longer a concern, I'd be helping out with the fire, but also looking for people who are getting burnt, tending to injuries.
There are people that are hurt. There's a number of them, actually.
Well, then that's what I'm here to do. Here to help.
Okay. Can you give me a... do you want to give me a first aid roll, actually? As you just set yourself to helping the good people and the bad people of this town?
I don't know why I always have a hard time finding first aid in this character. Oh, it's because it's below firearms. It looks like it's in this firearms section.
Shit, dude.
Critical success.
That's pretty damn good.
Everybody lives.
Holy shit.
I give people fire powers, fire superpowers.
That's exactly what we need.
From this day forward, they'll never be burnt again. And it's a town of firefighters, and everyone can shoot water from their hands. It's amazing.
Okay.
Alternatively, we just are in the very good graces of a lot of the town right now.
Yes. I think that's a very good one. Is that you are people, and Sam's sort of appearance here.
Sam specifically.
Yeah, and as you just begin to help people, and you care not what side you're on. You just you help the people that are hurt. You'll place people, like as you triage people, you're putting neighbor next to neighbor. You're putting people that were arguing. They're kind of also next to one another, and you're helping them out. Yeah. So they kind of all. There's a little bit of look, it's the same burns. Look, we have the same hands.
Shuffling them together. Yeah, making sure they can see the same flesh and blood.
I think that's a very good point. And I keep that in mind, Sam, if it gets to, you kind of think you have a bit of a back. A lot of people would probably listen to you following on this if you want to ever, have a little bit of a preach yourself. There's probably the means there for it.
It's like the Sneetches.
The what?
Dr. Seuss book, the Sneetches.
We'll take your word for it.
Is that a whole book, the Sneetches, or are they in another one?
Yeah, no, it's like this guy comes to town and he's like, I've got a machine that'll put stars in your belly, and then it becomes fashionable to have stars in your belly until he comes along and says, I've got a machine that'll take the stars off your belly, and then suddenly everyone's like, it's fashionable not to have stars in your belly, and they keep going back and forth until he leaves, and they all go, oh, doesn't really matter if you got stars in your belly or not. We're all just Sneetches.
I'm pretty sure that's actually a cosmic horror book, and that's put stars in your belly. It's
Oh,
very,
no.
Goddamn Azathoth, stay in your lane.
So
yes, I go along putting stars on and off bellies until no one cares whether they have a star in a belly or not.
That's great. Yeah, so you set yourself to helping people, moving the way, and coordinating efforts, and slowly the fire does begin to dwindle down, especially under the Reverend and Lieutenant Carter's previous direction, as well as Smith's ferrying of materials. Carter and Smith, as you head across towards the couple on the ground, Bill standing over them, and the basically, light mob that's gathered is beginning to encircle them, you will hear Bill continuing to repeat, if you come any closer, you just wait. Stay back. All of you, back. What are the two of you doing?
Good evening, gentlemen. Seems like there's a bit of a to-do going on. Would you mind moving? I'm gonna try and move through the crowd towards Bill.
You deliver a quick elbow to one of them, and it's enough to get them to back off. They're not carrying full-on, they're not armed, but they're very angry. And as you go past, you'll hear one of them grabs you for a moment, full on by the scruff. You're a tall person as well. It's very deliberate, and they go, "Do you know what they did? Those two little bastards. They burnt down our church. He's married to another. Sinners."
I've still got my gun out. I'm going to put the gun into his diaphragm and say, "You're going to let me go, good sir?"
He lets it go and he says, "Fine. Clear whose side you're on. Sinner."
I'm on nobody's side. I'm just someone who has a gun and doesn't like being touched.
He lets go and takes a half a step back, but does not leave the crowd. And you kind of feel a couple more of them step around you as well. There's a few of them here, and one of them pushes forward and says, "Why don't you let go of the gun then?"
Listen, this is fine. Can I step in and try and play shield? I would like to be diffusing the situation to give Ares the space to move forward and deal with the actual problem. Look, it's okay. It's okay. We're here to help you see the fire. The fire's getting put out. It's all okay. It's.
Sure. Give me I guess, persuasion. Ares, what are you doing as well? They're being pretty confrontational. Are you willing to step back and let Hubert move in, or do you?
I'll yield if you have a play here.
No, you can both be doing things. It'll bounce off one another. Things happen simultaneously.
I'm not gonna step back from the one that's in my face, but I'm not going to stop Hubert from ushering everyone else aside, because it's this gentleman and I that are.
You're kind of in the mob. There's only 5 or 6 of them, but you're amongst it at the moment. They have kind of. They're around you, and Hubert's kind of just beginning to move his way through them and going, break it up, let us get through.
I will.
It's a tough situation.
It be.
Particularly. He said put your gun away, and then what was it he said after that, sorry?
He said, then why don't you give it up, basically. Even though.
Oh, then why don't I? I am going to keep my gun out. I'm just going to look at him and I go, because it's going to be much faster and much cleaner to deal with you with a gun. If you would like me to do it a slow and painful way, by all means, I'll put my gun down.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to make an intimidation roll. This has a fair risk of escalation.
Ooh, here we go. Just get another crit. Roll another one.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
I will say, for the purposes of this, I am making a show. I haven't put my gun away, but I have moved it from being pointed at him. I am making a show of being I'm making sure of being confident, because I am.
Yep.
We don't get to see Ares' brawl skill very often. It's terrifying.
Yeah. Tensions are very high. And as you pull it away, there's another crack as the church breaks. And, some of the glass things pops open and there's a little of smoke. Go ahead and give me the intimidation roll. there is a very real risk of someone
may
taking
I
action.
offer
You
one
can
more
then
thing
if you
before I-
quickly systematically put one of them down, that might return things to control. But this is they'll take it as a threat.
I would like to offer one more thing before I make this roll.
Yeah, hit me.
It potentially to give a direction of what might happen, or like what, because I kind of get that feeling this is what they want to do already. I will, like I've just said, I don't need a gun to deal with you. But if you would so like to challenge, or have a bit of a dust up, well then, very happy to oblige. Insinuating that I will happily like fisticuffs this guy if I have to. All right, intimidation.
Come on.
Okay, that's
there we
good.
go.
It's enough. The bloke tries to meet your gaze and then flinches, takes a step back and looks away, and he says, "Problem's not with you, it's with them. Look what they did."
What did they do?
He swings to the church. He goes, "We caught them here, burning it. A symbol of community."
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure that as far as the law goes, there needs to be a trial before you do anything too unpleasant towards people that you believe to be guilty. Even if you catch them red-handed, there may be mitigating circumstances. And I don't mean to point out the obvious, but I don't see a badge on your chest, sir, so I don't think you are, in fact, the law in this town right now.
Nor are you. You don't come from here, so why don't you just step away? Let us handle this. Neither of you. We don't want your help. Go away.
Again, sir, I will point out that no, I am not the law in this town. But I am someone with a gun.
Why don't we, find
You're with
friend?
You're with them. That's what this is. You came here. You, your friend, the woman we saw you in church. You came here, you listened to our services, and you went out with the Reverend. And I notice he only just returns, and our sheriff's nowhere to be seen. And you put ideas, foul ideas, in good people's heads, and now our church is burning.
If it makes you feel better to believe that some outsiders were able to do all of this in a few days, rather than the possibility that maybe some bad ideas on many sides are floating around already, then I'm not going to stop you. You can think whatever you like. I'm reminding you, though, again, if you do not back off, I do have a gun. I'm a very good shot. And yes, as you saw it, the sheriff is not here. So I suggest you step down.
Not much law left in this town. Night's long. You best watch out.
I'm going
Stranger.
to...
And he steps back.
Okay. I will say, kind of, to like, if he steps back, I actually won't say anything at all. I'll
Hubert,
let him
what
step back.
Noted. Hubert, what are you
Heavy
doing?
silence. Love it.
Just stare at him.
Hubert, what do you do?
I as the sides slowly part, I go, buckets over there.
Oh, they're not
Sirs,
leaving.
they're
They're
not
moving away
leaving.
far enough
okay.
that you can get through. And
Oh, in which
they
case I
were
just-
fully like gathering around Carter,
Sure.
like quite.
Yeah, I thought they
they
had backed up a bit and were giving space. My mistake.
Oh, good.
I move near Carter and then stay kind of smiling to try and let Carter get close to the kids.
Yeah.
While I will kind of.
The two of you can get through, and when you get to Bill, he gives you both a nod of appreciation, and as you come alongside, and you're now standing with him with the kids behind, he will say under his breath to you, Carter, "Thank you for showing restraint."
You know, you're not the first person to thank me for that this evening.
Tensions are high. Once the fire gets put out, we can organize things. Things can be fine. Is the sheriff with you?
No. The sheriff is not with anyone anymore, unfortunately.
He's dead?
Yes. I'm sorry.
Damn it all. This is going to be hard. Listen, people are close to snapping. They want something to blame. They want a target, and God knows they probably found it. Listen, they're kids, okay? They're stupid. They fucked up.
Mr. Schaumbaum,
They're kids.
nothing is going to happen to your daughter or this young man here while I am upright and I have the ability to shoot things. I would like not to, but I will give you my word that I will make sure they are protected. More importantly, however, you asked if the sheriff returned. He did not. The Reverend, however, did. And the Reverend may have finally come to the idea the things he was doing, as much as he was hoping that they were truly helpful, were not.
He looks
He is in
over.
the process of organizing the crowd to put the church out. I would very much like it, at some point, the two of you perhaps have a chat and convince your respective sides that this town is going to be better together than apart.
Him? He's to
Correct.
blame for all of this. He turned my wife into a monster. That
Serpent.
boy's wife has birthed a demon in this town. That man, if they want a scapegoat, that's him.
So tensions are running high, and they'll be saying exactly the same thing. Everything you said, everything you just told Ares, everything you told us, just flip it around the other way. You two need to bridge this. This is the only way that tensions will calm. If you're up there standing by the Reverend helping, Ares will stay here. We'll make sure no one gets close. But if you hold fast here, they'll hold fast, and things will end with blood.
I'm not asking you to agree with the man. I'm asking you to speak to him and come to your own conclusion. If you decide after speaking with the Reverend there is no path forward, then so be it.
I can't trust a word that comes out of his mouth. He came to us as a friend at first, and when he returned, he said he was the same man. He never was. He's lied time and time again. He'll lie to get what he wants. He will say anything to get the crowd on his side, and he will throw them to the wolves if he thinks it'll get them off his back. He'll rally the town around them, and it'll be their deaths that brings it back together, and this town will be more doomed than it ever was.
And the evidence that he'll use is you standing here not helping put out a fire.
I'm stopping them being lynched.
We are here to help right now. We will help. You've seen us here. If you want to help your case, go up there. It makes sense from every perspective. If you don't, this only ends one way.
That's my daughter.
I
That's
understand.
my girl that used to go to church in this church with me and my wife. And he turned her into a monster, and he turned her against me, and he is the reason that this whole town's gone to hell. How can I work with him? How can I step away from protecting these last two? What if they
Because if
convince
you
you? What
don't-
if there's something else you need to do? You've got other priorities. I've got one, and that's protecting my daughter. One.
Because if you don't, Mr. Schaumbaum, and I want to make this clear, if you don't step away, and you don't try and find some way to move forward together, this town is going to rip itself apart. And whether you want it or not, your daughter is going to remain at risk for as long as you stay here. If you want her to be safe, you're going to need to try something different.
Can I get a persuasion roll? You'll have a bonus dice, and you've made very good arguments. It's a bonus dice, and it's going to be hard, not extreme.
Can I ask, are we both doing the persuading, or is it like, because I don't actually have persuade, but I know Hubert does, and I'm wondering if Hubert
You
is
can
able
give
to
him the
roll
bonus.
this.
Hubert can make the roll. You give him a bonus dice, and it's going to be hard
Yeah.
to
I don't have your legendary luck though, so let's see how we go. Failure. And bonus die.
Come on. Oh, you
0 2. I
Holy
guess.
shit.
So yeah, it's
thing
That's an
is-
extreme.
You set the stakes, and they were exactly what he was thinking, because he was, we will leave then. But you point out the town, and also he probably sees, when you gesture around, he sees Dr. Sam tending to people, and his wife's amongst them. And Sam's like making sure she's okay and helping them, and his wife, who's a little out of it, is talking to someone next to him. And he probably sees for just a moment the community that used to be here. And he says,
we are very literally helping both sides.
you know, you're neutral in this. And he says, stay with them, both of them, or take them with you if you go somewhere. That
Hubert, if you wouldn't mind unbinding the poor children, they seem to be a little uncomfortable. I will stay here
okay.
and make sure nothing happens.
as you approach,
As in, like, yeah.
so yeah, you keep an eye. You keep the squad out, and the Bill moves past to go join the water line at first, and he's going to help out put the fire and then talk to the Reverend. As he goes past, the mob comes forward for like a half inch. Ares puts a hand on the gun. They stop, take that half inch back, and stay the fuck where they are.
Oh, I would like it that Ares does not, like, Ares is going to stand in like the at ease, like feet about hip width apart, arms just directly behind jacket, just a complete model of I am a well-trained, currently at ease military professional.
Yeah.
If you take if you take a half step forward, just see how
Click, click.
close you think you can get before I suddenly snap.
You should have taken advantage of when I was in the brawl, Chuckles. Yeah, hell yeah. Hubert, as you approach them, they're a little bit further away, and you couldn't really hear them over the crackle of the flames and things, and you crouch down, you will see that this young guy, they're both about like 19, early 20s at the most. They are both covered in soot, and they've been doused in water. They're probably on fire a little bit. You get the smell of like Kero coming off them, where they use some accelerant to light the blaze. Susie's hair is scorched on one side and quite burnt, although she always had it cut short. They are both covered in coal or ash. It looks as though they might have rubbed more of it on their faces, and they are giggling to themselves. And Susie goes, "We did it! We did it! We did it! It's burning! We did it all! And they can't come back from this! Together! We did it together!" And Gregor holds her, and she full on like makes out. Like, they are two kids completely like so stoked with what they've achieved, and you get the impression there is a few screws loose. And they might have slowly shaken over the last few days, but something has twisted and snapped. It's not, uncomebackable, but they are possibly in shock.
Yep. In the midst of like indefinite insanity is the kind of reason.
Yes, they're in like a bout, functionally. And she's like holding on to him.
I go to undo the ropes. I step back. I go back over to Ares. I say, they're actually fine, I think, boss.
Ah, I understand. Well, if it wasn't for the fact that there's this lovely mob here, I'd go over and smack some sense into them. But for the moment, would you kindly make sure they don't hurt themselves?
Yeah. I'll keep half an eye on them.
I'd prefer you keep a whole eye on them. I'd rather they didn't suddenly get an idea of running away either.
Oh no, the ropes are still. Yeah, I'll keep it. Yeah.
Mr. Smith.
Yes. Sorry.
People survive stressful situations in strange ways. This is not unusual. Shock is a thing that happens to people in stressful situations. Make sure that neither of them are injured. Make sure both of them are safe. Keep your eyes on them. If anything happens, report to me. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, boss.
That would be sir. I'm not your boss.
Sorry, sir, boss. Sorry, sir. I got it, Ares. I'll do it.
I do not flinch when Hubert says Ares. I just not.
So you stand over them, Dr. Sam.
I just thought of something else. If I can turn my crit
I'd love that.
into something a little bit more specific.
Hit us.
Aside from just like knitting the town together again, I think the way I'm doing that is if I can recruit Pearl to the first aid tent, or tent,
Yep.
first aid area, and get her involved in like reacclimatizing her to being into society again. Getting her to like step away from being isolated like that does things to your mind. So this is like me trying to get her back into society, but also at the same time getting everyone in town, even the anti-snake people, to see that she's okay. She's not like it's not like she doesn't have leprosy. She's
Still the same person she was before.
Yeah, she doesn't need to be shunned. She's still a Binghamite.
I think that's a great idea. I will get you to make do you have psychoanalysis at all, Jackson? On Dr. Sam?
No, I got psychology, just not psychoanalysis.
The only thing is you are aware that Pearl is a huge fan of the Reverend and the snake side. So they will realize that like she's not poisoned or she's not, contagious, but she is obsessed.
But that's why I'm bringing her here as well
fervor.
to help her see that don't focus on one person in the town. There's a whole town of people here.
Yeah, I love it, and she's a big part of she loves the community of it, and I think you do. You begin to get to you are kind of weaving people together. She will help people as much as she can, but there's definitely, as she goes to someone who's quite badly burnt, she leans down and she goes, "It's okay. When the Reverend's done, he'll heal you. He'll heal all of us.
Oh,
this is
no.
temporary. This is only."
Oh no.
Minor, just
Okay,
wait,
well,
and we'll be okay.
no,
and just
never
sort of
mind. Yeah. If I can get her to focus on the actual, like, bandages, fetching, being busy, like, just trying to distract her with external stimulus as opposed to thinking about the Reverend nonstop.
She needs training in bedside
That's
manner.
what was the goal. Maybe I've messed this up. Maybe I've gone too hard too early.
You realize it's as you feel like a steer away.
Yeah.
But
I don't think
they
we're
are
gonna
talking
fix
at least,
Pearl.
Lean down towards the guy and say, "I'm sorry, that's not true."
It's the beginning.
The hands are going.
I think, I don't think we're going to fix Pearl with a crit
Yeah.
like right now, but I think like it's reasonable to say that this is all part of bringing the town back.
Bringing her into
Because from what I understand about getting people out of cults, you can't tell them, you have to show them, you got to show them enough that they come to their own understanding rather than telling them what's going on.
Well, do you tell her that the Reverend has lost his ability?
No. Same thing. Show not tell.
Let him say it. Okay. Because she does believe it. So she goes back, and then the Reverend basically told her that he'd work with her when it was all done. So she's going around. You will occasionally hear her talking to people, and she's trying to be reassuring. She's saying it's okay. Dr. Sam's here. He's very good. He'll tend to you, and then when this is done, the Reverend will take the time as well, and he'll meet with you. And she's going along and talking to people. As you all sort of separate out and keep watching things, slowly, bucket by bucket, the fire is extinguished, and finally the town is gathered around. It's late at this point. A couple of hours will pass. Is stand around the still sort of smoking ruins of the church in the center of Bingham. Pretty much everyone in the town is here. If they weren't unable to move, there might be a couple of kids that have been left home, but honestly, you see like parents standing with like kids in front of them, like keeping a hold on them, and they're watching in awe as this symbol of community is now in ruins. Now, there are people standing together that helped to put the fire out, but once it's at rest, once it's done, they kind of naturally begin to filter away, and you will see like bunches forming as people just find their natural groups. Genuinely, one of the exceptions to this is Dr. Sam's camp, which has been set up genuinely probably in like the graveyard be the closest section where you can move people. And then you've got a house next door where you've got the ones that are in more severe need. And Dr. Sam is moving back and forth. But you're at a rest. There's a short lull. You found a couple of people that can help you, and you've gathered with everyone else at this point. Bill and the Reverend are standing nearby. They aren't talking yet, but they look... They're close to one another, at least, and they aren't swinging. There are rumors spreading. You will have heard several times that basically Susie and Gregory have been identified as the ones that burnt it down. And general consensus is either, what the fuck, that was ours, you should be punished very severely, or if you were against the church, it's still kind of a, well, that didn't put our position in a good light. We were meeting. Like, this is extreme from both sides. No one's happy. Also, this is the 1930s. Adultery's not red hot either. So they're not pleased about that at all, because Gregory is married, and unfortunately, Susie's going to cop some of that as well, possibly as much or more, for basically being involved in the affair. The punishment would be reasonably severe. The sheriff is not present, and there are mobs around. You guys did a very good job of quelling things for the time being, and now that there's this sort of lull, what is everyone doing? Where are you positioning? Are you just letting this kind of ride out? Are you seeing what the next beat is? Are you being proactive, reactive?
I think. Oh wow! All three of us went at the same time. Oh my gosh, that's a hat trick. Nice.
Very well.
You go ahead.
I would say that Ares' instinct here, whether it is the same instinct as everyone else, but Ares' instinct is, if there are still mobs around, these two are still at risk.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to present a front that is as much, do not come near these children, because... Like, do not come near these children, but also these children will not be leaving. Like, I am doing the, like, I am the guard at the jailhouse that's like, you're not going to touch them, but they're not going anywhere.
With that in mind, you will be aware there is the jailhouse. You could take them to it and get them kind of out of the public face and make sure they are locked up.
I think the issue with that is then that someone would have to stay there, and I'm not willing to move from this area right now. I think we're still required. My other instinct is, if I see that the Reverend and the blacksmith are standing near each other, I don't think that it is the time for us to intercede in that conversation. I think we've set up as much as we can from our side, and they are the ones that are going to need to hash that out. Now, whether or not my companions agree with me or not, that is up to them, but that is Ares' instinct, is go like, if you want to get to these children, you have to go through me, no matter what your intent is with them. Whether you want to release them or string them up, you're going through me. Don't. And to kind of let everything else, to kind of wait for the next beat, as you asked.
100%. Awesome. I will say, Hubert, you've noticed, you were the one kind of half keeping an eye on. The giggles have stopped, and when you next take a look, Susie is, like, dry heaving and sobbing a bit, and Gregory has a 1,000-yard stare as he looks out in the middle and makes no efforts to comfort her. He just seems to be completely out of it, in shock, looking off into the distance. Kind of maybe the chips are falling on what they've done as they become aware of it.
I have a long-term strategy. I think I know what we need to do past tonight.
Macro.
But Sam, did you have a thought immediately?
Oh, Sam, you probably these two are together. Sam, you probably come up after a bit to say, like, hey, people are being tended to. It's okay. Like, the three of you gather, you can talk.
Cool.
It's not silent, but it's that kind of waiting. What's the next step?
Yeah.
Probably agree with Ares. At some point, we can do more harm than good by keeping talking. At the end of the day, the solution's got to come from inside the town.
I think that we've put ourselves in a pretty good light here in everybody's eyes by helping out and doing everything. I think that we need to get through the night, make sure that everyone stays calm and keep the kids watched over. I think we need to get us and them and neutral observers, if needed, on the first train out of here, and we need to deliver them into the arms of the law in some capacity in a bigger city, right? I think that from there, out of the reach of the immediacy of the town, tempers can go down a little bit. We can hand this problem over effectively to people who are not as wildly emotionally invested, and hopefully things can relax a bit.
I would agree. We are not the law in this town. This town does need law. And I think you're right, Mr. Smith. We are not the people to bring it. We are the people to keep other people safe, but we're not the people to bring law. Not after tonight.
We take them into a big city, deliver them to the law there, post their bail and get them a lawyer. I don't think that the people in this town have the sort of capacity at this stage or evidence to mount a pretty significant case against them. And if they do, hey, they did burn down a church. So, well, look,
People got hurt too.
And I think that's the best thing that we can do here at this point.
If we're going to make the Reverend face the consequences of his actions, then it seems rather hypocritical to not make sure that these two children face the ramifications of what they've done, at least in some part. I do think there are mitigating circumstances one way or the other, but what they did was unwise, and there are consequences for actions.
So we guard the kids overnight. We've got the Schoenbaum and the Reverend to make peace. In the meantime, we say we're going to take the kids. We're going to bring them to the law.
I suggest that we invite the Mr. Schoenbaum and the good Reverend, or we ask that they both attend the sheriff's office. I suspect that is where we will be safest this evening, when they are ready to do so, and then we will talk to them together to ensure that the actions going forward are to the satisfaction of all the town.
Yep.
If both of them agree with our case forward, then there can be no disagreement, and if there is disagreement, it will be small. If we tell everyone what we're going to do, I think we're just going to end up putting ourselves in that position of people will think we're trying to be the law and we're not. So yeah. I agree with you, Mr. Smith. I'm just suggesting that we make sure that this is seen in the light of we will assist, but only at the agreement of the township itself as a whole.
Let's do that. Let's move the kids to the sheriff's office and ask if we can speak to some people. Sam,
given that you seem to be viewed in the best light by both sides of the town, would you be so kind as to tell the Reverend and Mr. Schoenbaum where we are taking the children, and if they could join us when they feel comfortable doing so?
Yeah, can do.
Thank you.
Okay. So Sam, you make your way up towards the Reverend and Bill?
I guess I do.
They are both standing there, not awkwardly, but Bill has not spoken yet. You can see his fists are tightly clenched and white knuckling, and the Reverend is looking over everything, you know, seeing the flock. Can you actually give me a psychology roll as you approach?
Oh, that's probably a good idea. Let's see what the vibe is. 47. Success.
The Reverend, he's got the advantage here. The numbers are still on his side, and the actions of Susie and Gregory have only really served to show that those people, the dissenters, were kind of in the wrong. This has not strengthened their case whatsoever.
But I want to look at him and I want to figure out if he's going to, what he's going to do. If he's going to lower his status.
You think he'd probably rather keep the advantage than lose it. He's not going to go to incredible extremes, but he'll probably, if he can keep the bulk of the town on his side, and in that way also ensure peace, and if that would mean excommunicating or getting rid of some of the dissenters, that's peace, and then they can rebuild, and we're all in the same framework.
Oh, I don't like this. What was Aries' message again? I've already forgotten it.
That we're taking the children to the jail, and for those two to join us when they are, if they would be so kind as to join us at their leisure.
I kind of don't want to leave them alone.
You don't have to. That the implication was also I was sending you because
All right.
you're the one who
case,
has ingratiated yourself quite well with everyone. Like
all right. Yeah.
you're
In that case,
most likely to
yeah.
persuade people to do stuff if necessary. Yes.
Gotcha. All right. Well,
Hubert and I are better.
Yeah. Well, I'll just head up and say, hey. Aries is planning to take the kids to the jailhouse just to make sure they don't get in any more trouble. Hey, kids, am I right? I think the two of you can head over once you've had a chat. You feel like you're ready for a chat?
So Bill steps forward and says, "Don't take them anywhere. I don't want them out of my sight.
No.
Not at the moment."
You can trust Aries in that. No worries.
Here. They stay here.
Yeah. Oh well, just around the corner, just
here.
to
Doctor.
Sort this
where
out.
I can see them.
Hey, Bill, the chat coming up might get a bit hairy, and I just think let's just not have any distractions. Let's just focus on one thing at a time. Hey, it's a lot easier when you're not worrying about things going on behind you. So let's just keep things cool and calm and collected. All right?
He swings between you, the kids, and the Reverend. And the Reverend says, "No, I agree with Mr. Showman. They should be here. They did this. They should understand the repercussions of their actions. Everyone needs to know that we are one community as we move forward, that we are together in this, that we are whole again. We will hold the people responsible accountable, and then we will move forward."
Well, all right. If the two of you are off to a good start, then let's do that. I think if we can find agreement, let's put those agreements into practice.
As you sort of take a step back and Bill moves forward to possibly say, the Reverend takes one big step forward, holds his hands aloft, and addresses the crowd.
Oh, okay. We're going there already. Well, hold on. Let's just.
He immediately launches into like a people of Bingham. Hear me now. Come forward. Come close.
All right.
Gather by your sisters and your brothers, and hear the truth as I can tell it.
All right. Well, if this is happening,
it is.
Then I'm gonna step up with Bill and make sure that Bill's up there standing side by side, so that there's an impression that the Reverend's gonna speak and then Bill's gonna speak because they've got equal status here.
Everyone gets a turn.
I'm standing between them. Everyone's gonna have a turn.
How far away are? Would we have been in earshot of don't take the kids anywhere? Are we still?
No, not from just there. No, you wouldn't have. It's a run back and forth, and with the people now gathering forward, you're left a little bit on the side with the kids. Although the mob are still around and keeping aware of it because that's kind of the target of their ire. But you are sequestered a little bit when this kicks off.
Okay.
So I thought this was going to be a backroom discussion. It's turning into a town hall debate.
The Reverend does seem to have
make sure that they're both kind of here on equal terms, and we're gonna pick out what we can agree with and move forward. So,
and if we can't calm everybody down, they're gonna get real mad at those kids.
So, the Reverend says, "Once we were a community for a long time, and we endured hardships, but we endured them together. We worked under the one God, and we knew that if we prayed to him, we would receive what we needed to survive. We have struggled, but we've done so together. Some months ago, I went on a journey. I traveled out into the wastes, and I was gifted with a vision. I saw God as a serpent that crawled towards me and gave me powers that I could heal you, raise you up, bring more people to our town, and we could thrive again. Pearl, come forward."
Oh.
And the crowd kind of shivers and moves apart. And Bill, seeing his wife, takes a step forward as well. And he's swinging between you, the Reverend, his wife, clearly thrown by events. Pearl, dressed in her white nightgown, takes a step forward. She's in her slippers and everything. She's been helping with the aid. And in the few hours that have passed, her skin has calloused once more and is now covered in thick, wet scabs that are leaking across the dress. She is trembling, nervous. Everyone's looking at her, and she's been away. She's been locked up for months now. She's not used to this kind of attention, but the Reverend gives it to her again. He says, Pearl, step forward. Come to me, and I'll give you what you've asked for. And she begins to make her way down the line.
Reverend, this is Bill's wife here. This is about the two of them. All right.
Can you?
So, what are you gonna do? Can I just whisper? What's going on here? What are you gonna do?
Can you give me a social check?
I mean,
Persuasion.
Persuade. Gonna keep on persuading.
Fast talk, maybe. I think it's persuasion.
Like, come on. I'm just going. Just slow down. Stop it. Think about what you're doing. Think about Bill. Think about everyone else out here. Don't assume you got it all right. Just slow down and work with everyone else here. Is what I'm getting at.
Probably not fast talk by definition.
No, it's persuade.
Go ahead and
I'll
give
go
me,
for persuade.
give me a persuade roll, please. Oh my god.
Reverend, you goddamn idiot! Stop what you're doing and just.
As Pearl's coming forward, the Reverend turns to you and to Bill, and he says, "I'm holding myself accountable. I'm showing them what's changed, and I'm setting the record straight."
Mm-hmm. All right.
Hell yeah.
And he turns back. And
I was
Pearl
kind of
makes
like,
the
I'm
final
willing
step.
to see this play out. I
was not.
Oh no, I'm glad you stepped in, for sure.
I was concerned.
I am very glad you stepped in with a like persuasive, don't fuck this up, but also I'm like, let's see what happens.
Pearl steps forward and stands just in front of him. And as he holds a hand out towards her, she kneels in front of him. And the image of Pearl dressed in sort of, stained white, the Reverend just above her, Bill to the side, and Dr. Sam standing in between. And all behind this, the huge, blackened, ruined church underneath the moonlight. He reaches a hand out to her, lays it on her forehead, kind of showing like the fear not the leper. And then he says, "It was wrong. It was a lie. That was no god. It was a demon that came between us and our community. Pearl, I am sorry. I've wronged you deeply. And Bill," and he turns to the blacksmith, "I've hurt you as well, as I have all of you in this community. I drew you away from God. I preached falsehoods. I led some of you to a cave where some treacherous monster slept. I have died 7 times since then. And each time I was born again, fresh, strong, but each time more hollow than the last. And I would have given that to you. I would have given you this short relief, and you would have lost your eternal salvation. This is a moment for us, this community, we have what we have, we hold it together, we deal with whatever comes, and when it passes, we go on. Pearl, I'm sure Dr. Sam will help you. He will do whatever he can. I cannot do what I've done before, but he will help you to rest. He will help you to be at ease." And she's looking up at him with like wide eyes, looking around, and she whispers, I'll be like this forever? A monster? At this point, Sam, she kind of looks to you as well. The Reverend's pointed to you, like brought you into this conversation too.
To address the crowd?
More to Pearl. It's more personal.
Oh, okay, good.
She's not in pain,
Oh,
but she's
gotcha.
in great discomfort. Everyone's looking at her, and she's in this kind of monstrous form. There's images of disgust. People haven't seen her since she's been at church. People are recoiling from her as she walks forward, and now she's just learned that she'll never
Yeah, gotcha.
be what she was.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think what the Reverend's been reminded of, is it's not such a good thing to put all your trust and your faith and your hope into one person, because it takes a village. And if you let them, then Reverend and myself and Bill and everyone else are going to want to help you and want what's best for you. And that's really the best thing you can ask for. So if you let them, everyone will be on your side, Bill.
Sort of looks between the two of you. She's still shaken, but she stands up and she goes to stand beside her husband, who takes her hand, and you will hear him say, "I'm sorry," quietly to her. The Reverend will pass the crowd to Bill. He will say, "There have been people that saw through what I preached. And though I do not condone the actions taken today, I celebrate the community that came together to put the fire out. And Bill, if you'd like to speak to the crowd, please do so." And Bill will kind of shake his head and then step forward, and he'll say just simply, "We were a community in hardship. We can be a community again." And then he steps back. So,
That's fine.
And a few words.
At this point, can I get whoever has the lowest luck to make a luck roll?
Oh, heck off, Dave. Don't do that.
I'm at 45.
54.
58.
Here we go.
Oh,
Success!
yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh.
No one else steps forward. The crowd nods. Some still angry, most still angry, a lot of them confused, but the Reverend and Bill, both representatives of their side, have let out a cry for peace, and it's enough for people to begin to step away. And over the next few minutes, hours, night, the people return to their homes. And there will be no bloodshed tonight.
What was the luck check? My god, if that was...
Yeah, like some violence near the wells, we're going to escape and
The luck
mess up the
check,
town?
the luck check will come after, because once everyone disperses and heads away, unless you want to speak to the Reverend, and actually, even if you go up to speak to him, you guys probably talk to him for a little bit afterwards, you will see another figure approach, and it is Gregory's wife, and she has with her, she is heavily pregnant, covered in a wide a nightgown, and walking in front of her, stomping with his feet on her feet so that he kind of marches along with her, is the child that was born not long ago. And as people disperse, no one sees him because she stands away. She knows what her son looks like. And this creature, this boy, very young, has sharp fangs, a twisted, flattened nose, scales all across the face, and lizard-like eyes, and has grown exceptionally fast for a baby.
We did hear about this, and we just never made the time to go have a look.
Fortunately, the crowd disperses, and there's no additional fire, or gasoline on the fire, rather, tonight. What do the three of you want to do as the night fades and as time moves on?
When we have a moment to speak amongst ourselves, exhausted from our trip through the desert and now overnight fire.
Is this like we still need to worry about what we're doing with the kids, or is that sort of like taken care of at this point?
You guys let out like a, their intent will be that justice will be seen on some level, and they will go, there will be a trial, there will be some fine, and it will probably be reasonably severe. The church was burned down, a lot of people were hurt, slap on adultery just for a little something.
If we suggest that these two go to, like, because there's no current sheriff here, go to the nearest large town,
yes.
Is that something that
Oklahoma City,
they will acquiesce to that as like a thing?
They will.
A suggestion is like...
Bill could stand to leave the town for a little bit. Also, they'll come back because they will basically get external law enforcement too for the short term. Of course, how that goes is... But at this point,
Oklahoma City is on our way back, isn't it?
It's the way you came through.
Okay. In that case, just before we actually have our like final conversation with everything, I would like to say to Bill that we will be happy to take these two, because I think it is a good idea that Bill stays here just to make sure that like there are him and the Reverend both talking to the townspeople from now on, like until things have really settled. We will take these two to Oklahoma City on our way back and ensure that they are left with law enforcement. We will make sure that there is a telegram sent back so they know what is going on. But it would behoove him to remain here and not leave, even though times are difficult. His wife needs him, the town needs him.
Yeah, he's also not 100% on the Reverend, but it's beginning. Yes, that's a good plan. They'll definitely go with that.
Lovely. Sorry, Jim, you were gonna do we're talking now.
No, I think that I was just sort of going to sort all that out. No, I mean, I agree. I think that long term, we probably keep one foot in the town just because, honestly, whatever happened here could give us some pretty valuable insight into how exactly everything works, re the Serpent people and the powers that they have. But in terms of managing the social aspect of the town, I think we've set things right. And apart from being around to kind of help resolve the problems that arise from it, I don't see any obvious way that we can make any additional steps here. I think that we've completed our mission as per Chaosium. We should,
Well,
yeah, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of up to you. You can call this, you can say this. You could also just say we spend a couple weeks here, like Dr. Sam. You could plan to stay and help the people that are, because there are a number of people. Peggy, that's Gregory's wife, may need external assistance with childbirth, given that it was a slightly unnatural or a supernatural growth. Beyond that, there's a number of people throughout the town that will still have these, half boons, half blessings. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think we should start to extricate ourselves slowly. But
you could also hand this over to Chaosium, like report it to them and say, hey, send in some big guns.
I was thinking we should get some medical folks in here to both help and research.
Okay.
Because there's going to be some snake curse medicine stuff to be learned here, and also, let's not just like leave and abandon them. Let's treat them.
I actually had a very similar idea. I had a note from last week because the Reverend said that this town was suffering because of like the lack of employment stuff and all that kind of thing. And one of my notes is to contact Caduceus and say that part of the reason that this influence was able to make its way insidiously into the town is that this town was suffering hardship. Echoing Sam, this does seem to be the kind of place where we might be able to get more information. So on top of sending aid for the people, is there a way that we can aid them economically as well to bring a bit of prosperity back into town, find a way for them to sort of rebuild together? Because that also gives us a very strong connection to the town. Should we need to reach out to them and go like, hey, we'd we need a bit more information from you, or like, can you help? Essentially, it's like an ally, except in town, if you know what I mean.
And Caduceus is an aid organization.
Yeah, that's exactly what they are.
This is absolutely within their purview.
So would the idea be to stay in, like, get word to Chaosium, stay here until, basically do a handover, and then once
Think
they
so,
come
yeah.
in, you can head back
Yeah.
to New York.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah, stay long enough to hand over to brief the team that is coming here about the situation, to make sure that like they are presenting themselves as people who are here to aid the town, more so than like take research away. Like make sure that they are actually trustworthy and present a good foot forward, which I think Caduceus is very good at doing anyway. But yeah, brief them on everything that's happened, assuming that their pay grade is high enough to know all of this, which I assume it would be, and then head back once we've done the debriefing.
Okay. So we'll kind of zoom out a little bit here. You stay in town. You get word to Caduceus and you give a preliminary report. You let them know what happened and that these people need support, and they assure you that it will be sent. You spend a couple days in town. Dr. Sam, you tend to some of the people and make sure that they aren't in urgent need of care, and you begin to like put together rough plans for how they could be healed. Like, so you'll go like, hey, give this, when the doctors come in, I'm going to hand this over. They're going to continue the research, and hopefully this will put you to rights in the not too distant future. You begin to see the foundations come back together as folks work together. There's a lot of tension still, and this isn't going to get cleaned up in just a few days, but hopefully they can come back together. And then eventually the train comes in, bearing the Caduceus agents, doctors, and as they go off, you will get on the train and you'll head back to Oklahoma City and New York via Oklahoma City. Traveling with you will be Mortimer and Lloyd Allen. Once again, they came to see miracles and they saw something. They are thankful to still be safe and to be together and that no one was hurt. They are a little less, Lloyd, the young boy, is scared of you, although he
Snakes.
saw, definitely with snakes. He saw you all working together, and he was thankful for it.
If on the train station, as we're leaving, finally saying goodbye to Lloyd, maybe we're heading in, I know we're staying for a bit, maybe we're heading into the near city to help deliver people, whatever. I will have one little moment where I will come close and I will nod at them and I will say, "Thank you again for your help, detective."
He takes her head and Mortimer looks confused and says, "It was nice meeting you." And Lloyd, thrilled to be possibly called a detective, goes, "No worries, sure." Like shakes your hand.
Oh, the ultimate cover.
Exactly. Figured it out.
They will. They'll probably offer to host you guys for a couple of days if you're interested. You can spend some time in Oklahoma City, just like to kind of debrief a little bit. And just as you're preparing to leave to head back off, Hubert, you get a note slipped under your door, and it's been a few days now, maybe getting close to a week, and it says, "Return to Bingham."
No.
The
I
others
can't do
have
that.
left by this point, but curious, you get on the train and you make your way back out. And when you slide back in, I'm going to give a content warning for massacre.
Oh no.
Because as you get off at the train station, the Caduceus agents have all departed and the town is dead. They have gone through and systematically murdered anyone with even vague connections to the Serpent people. And as you stand at the station and look out over this town that you tried so hard to save, you begin to realize that the agency you work for does not have clean hands in this, and they have done something terrible.
Oh my god.
And that is where we are going to leave the session.
Okay, I reckon I'll be starting a sanity check next session. Oh my god.
The exception to this will be Gregory and Susie, who you took to Oklahoma City and who are currently in the jail there.
Okay. There's going to be a lot to unpack, I think.
Was that all of us who went, or like I assume?
Narratively, just you, but you will be in Oklahoma or something. Yeah, you could all have made the journey out after you received the message.
I think it's reasonable that we all would. For narrative purposes, it sounds much more fun if like the four of us step out on a platform and are like,
what the fuck?
Just the pan of all the different faces, and then end of episode, credits roll. Season 3.
Jeez. Huh. Okay.
Right.
Wow.
Okay. So that is where we are going to leave our session, and that ends the chapter in Oklahoma. We will return next week to see what the investigators get up to next, now that they might be side-eyeing their employers a lot. And we'll see where their travels take them. Thank you all for watching.
God, what the?
Thank you all for playing.
Aid organization, my ass.
Thanks for running, Dave. I love the ending.
Yeah.
That was sick. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to go full like secret sleeper agent massacre an entire organization of
the other
fuck
big
knuckles.
thing is they don't know that you know. That was Hubert's undercover operative, basically leaked the information. I was just following up. So how you pursue this from here is up to you. Cast it to in your hands. All right. Doing have a nice big drive, so we will leave you all there. Thanks you all, and we'll see you in a week. Catch you
Thanks
soon.
everyone. Great to see you.